What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night news roundup here on Anfield Agenda, where we're going to be discussing some comments from Steve Parish around Mark Gay, and the likelihood of him joining Liverpool has probably ratcheted up a little notch in my opinion. We'll speak about Rodrigo as one club looked to be ruled out of that move. That club, like in Manchester City, could be out of that race. So what does that mean for Liverpool? We'll try to figure it out. We will discuss the situation with Alexander ISAK, of course, as well, with Nicholas Jackson's future, well, up in the air as three clubs now make a play for him. That and lots more to come over the next few minutes, but as always, we do want to know your thoughts, so let me know in the comment section. Drop a like in the video if you enjoy it, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'd love you to join the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp community as we hurtle towards 13,000 people in there. Scan the QR code on the screen to join and get the news directly to your phone. Right, let's start off with the Rodrigo situation. So a lot of people coming into tonight's stream asking what's happening there. So there were a couple of reports to keep an eye on. The first report came to say that Rodrigo was open to moving to the Premier League, was likely to move to the Premier League, and Liverpool's name was mentioned. That was from Spain. Then we had a report from Pete O'Rourke that said his agent or his representatives were over in the UK at the moment talking, well, he said flying to the UK to talk to interested clubs. What we have since found out from Guillaume Balaguer is that it looks like Manchester City won't be one of those clubs. So the report tonight from Guillaume Balaguer said that Pep Guardiola has blocked the sale of Savinho to Spurs, meaning that they won't be pursuing a deal for Rodrigo. So who else is left? You'd have to say Liverpool, probably the front runners. Spurs' name would certainly be in that mix. I don't think Arsenal have the financial capability to push for Rodrigo. And I think another club to keep an eye on, maybe Bayern Munich, who of course are still looking for a wide player. I don't know if they could tempt them, but I certainly feel like it's possible for Liverpool. Now, Harvey Elliott, let's talk about him for a second. So, the Daily Mail have said that Harvey Elliott has not had any offers to leave Liverpool yet, despite the offer that we all clearly know is there from Red Bull, but maybe they mean direct offer to Liverpool. They do go on to say, though, keep an eye on the situation with Eze leaving Crystal Palace, as Crystal Palace could be a destination for Harvey Elliott. So, keep an eye on that one. Next up, we're going to talk about managers and how much they've spent since they've won a trophy. Number 5 on this list, Niko Kovac, who spent €407 million since winning a trophy. Number 4, Pep Guardiola, €438 million. Number 3, Unai Emery, €472 million. Number 2, Cholo Simeone of Atleti, €535 million. But number 1 on the list, with a spend of €1 billion since the last trophy is... yeah, you know who it is. It's Mikel Arteta. Of course it is. Next up, we're going to give you comments from Steve Parish. Obviously, Mark Gay played tonight in Crystal Palace's 1-0 victory in the Europa Conference League against Fredrikstad, and this is what Steve Parish had to say on Mark Gay. Once he signs a contract, he can stay. If he doesn't, we'll have to look at it. More comments. It's a difficult situation. Everybody has to sell players to comply with the rules. That's a situation that we will have to look at in the next 11 days. If you're asking me, it's looking very likely that Mark Gay gets sold this summer. The uncertainty for me comes from what happens with Ibrahim Konate. So, is there a world that Liverpool move for Mark Gay? Absolutely. And if you're asking me, I think it's very likely at this point. What I don't know is what on earth is happening with Ibrahim Konate. So, is there a world where we go and sign Mark Gay, we then talk to Real Madrid about Rodrigo, and maybe Konate goes in the other direction? I'm not saying this is something you would want or we all want as fans, but if there is an impasse on the contract that can't be resolved, I've always said I don't like the idea of him running down his contract and leaving for free in a year. It's not great optics for the club. So if there was a deal that could be worked out, maybe it could benefit everybody. But it is a little bit hypothetical still at this point. What I do feel quite confident with is there will be an exit from Crystal Palace from Mark Gay as things look. Steve Parish once again says they basically can't let a player like that leave for free, despite many reports saying, well, if he doesn't get the money he wants, he'll hang on to him. Will he though? As he said, they need the money. Right, let's move on to Fabrizio Romano, who said Newcastle have made contact with Chelsea regarding the possibility of signing Nicholas Jackson in the last 48 hours. Now, We also know that Aston Villa are in there. We mentioned this in the late night agenda. Obviously, Unai Emery worked with Nicolas Jackson at Villarreal. Romano said their relationship is still very good, and Unai Emery wants to bring him. So why am I bringing this up? Well, I guess it all ties together with Newcastle, right? So this piece here, again coming out of Spain tonight, said Nottingham Forest have joined Aston Villa, Newcastle, AC Milan, Inter and Juventus in the race to sign Nicolas Jackson. The Chelsea striker was expected to make a decision in the coming days. So is there a world maybe where Villa move on and get Nicolas Jackson? Would they sell Watkins to Newcastle? Are Newcastle interested in Watkins? Can Newcastle get Jackson? I don't know. Strand Larson is another name that's been linked with Newcastle. So the reason I'm waffling away here to get to the point is there is a world where Newcastle can still get 2 strikers in. I'm not saying it's absolutely likely, but I know a lot of people in the comments love to throw the 99.9% thing at me. Always has been with the caveat that Newcastle need to get 2 players. Do I think if Newcastle get 2 players, they still hold on to ISAK? No. They'd be absolutely stupid to do that because they'd be cutting off their nose to spite their face with £130 million sitting there on the bench with 2 strikers ahead of them. So if they can get their deals done, I very, 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 very firmly still believe that, yes, Liverpool can go out there and bring in Alexander Isak before the window shuts. I think 130 million quid gets it done, but we got to wait and see. Now, on the rest of the situation, look, for me as a Liverpool fan, there's no denying the brilliant business we've done early doors in this window. But a lot of people, again, in the chat tonight were asking the question of, well, what if the net spend is about 30 or 40 million by the end of the window? As we say here, I think it's currently about 70 or 80 million. If Elliott gets moved on, that puts that figure right down to the all-reliable 30 to 40 million net spend, which would be nowhere near good enough in the context of us not bringing in the forward that Arne still needs and with the uncertainty around centre-back. So for me, the last 11 days of this window are going to make or break the window. They're going to make or break my belief in whether the owners have the ambition to be successful and the planning that was in place over the last year. If we can bring in a striker or a forward and we sort out the Canade GUEHI situation, brilliant. Very good window. Anything else on top of that? For me, personally, I'd see it as a bonus. Some people want GUEHI to come in on top of Canade. No problem with that, but I think it's unlikely. For me, that is where we are at. So, to summarise, Marc Guéhi feels like a very, very distinct possibility at this point, and probably for a number closer to what Liverpool are looking to spend. The situation with Rodrigo, well, if we want him, I'd have to say we'd be favourites at this point. So, let's wait and see what happens. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I will be back tomorrow, 8:45 for the late night agenda. Thank you to everyone who listened to the podcast as well. If you aren't aware, the latest episode is out on Spotify, and you can find it here on YouTube as well. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for a brilliant week again, and much love, my friends. We'll talk soon. Take care. Anything? Yeah, that's it. We're done. Talk. Say bye.